And welcome back. This is The Guys Next Door. I'm your host, Ron Arenas, with my co-host, Pastor John McClain.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, brought to you by Picture Rocks Cooling, Heating, and Plumbing, keeping you cool all summer long.
All summer, yeah. And it's about that time.
It is. It is
Yeah.
about that time. And so it feels like it's time to have a show about the upcoming air
Yeah.
conditioning and the hot summer.
It'd be really good if we could get to speak to somebody like that just really knew stuff about air conditioning.
Some knowledgeable
systems.
dudes.
Like really like
Yeah.
kind of like knew like the ins and outs to answer the questions that like listeners or the audience members would think like, man, I don't really know much about an air conditioning system, but if we just were lucky enough to get some guys to talk about it, we may be answering some prayers.
You know, I found some guys.
Really?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay,
I
I'm
did.
listening. I'm
So,
listening.
Today on our show, we have one of our sponsors from Picture Rocks Cooling, Heating, and Plumbing, Ryan Shirley, the Comfort Advisor.
Yeah.
Hello. Happy to
And
be here.
yeah, thank you. And also David Deal, which he's been working in the industry on the wholesale side of the HVAC distributors for the last 35 years.
I want to hear you say that 5 times.
Welcome, David.
All right, Ron, thank you for having me.
Yeah, yeah. So, the hot summer's coming. I
Mm.
mean, that's the one thing that you can count on in Tucson is that hot, long summer is coming, and everyone needs air conditioning.
Mhm.
I mean, that's just one of those things that you can't do without in Tucson. So, first of all, with David, how's that supply chain? You're working on that wholesale side. How's the supply chain for all the components and the new units?
You know, I have to tell you, I never thought that I would be looking back and looking forward to the change of the supply chain. We had tremendous amounts of lead times that we were dealing with here not too long ago, 2022, here 2000 through 2024. And it's just here just recently that our supply chain has really kind of caught up with itself, and lead times have gone to something that we can all, deal with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very good. Very good. That's always good to hear. And you've been in the industry since 1988. What are some of the major innovations that you've seen in the HVAC industry?
You know, when we were just kind of chit-chatting before, we were talking about the fact of SEER ratings of the equipment and how it's come up so much. You know, there was a time where a 12 SEER unit was the, Cadillac, and now we're up to at least 20 SEER.
Right. So what is SEER rating?
So SEER rating stands for a seasonal energy efficient ratio.
Okay. And that's how the government measures
Yeah, that's how that
how energy efficient the unit is.
Exactly.
And to us laymen's, like pretty much everybody here in the room that doesn't know air conditioning, I think I'm the only one, including Ryan's son. That's one of the audience members. What would you account that to? That 12 to 20 efficiency increase?
Yeah, good question. We've changed the drive motors to ECM motors. We've gotten larger coils and condensers to help do some of the absorption of the heat and trying to provide cool air there. The metering devices that are so prevalent in the machines anymore have really made the machines a lot more efficient.
I think the variable speed capacity is also driving that a lot. And just sort of to touch on that, most units are single stage units. So what that means is they always work at 100%. Then you have 2-stage units that have highs, lows, and off. Then you have variable speed units that operate like the gas pedal in your vehicle. And the most taxing part of electrical usage on your unit is going to be turning on and turning off. So we can minimize the amount of times that your unit turns on and off in a day. You're going to see that your comfort is going to bump way up, and also your power bill is going to bump way down.
Interesting. And I'll ask this question to both you guys. I'm sure you probably both have a really good answer for it. Like we're seeing with vehicle technology, kind of this like crazy spaceship level acceleration in the technology. Is that exists within the HVAC community?
Absolutely. The spaceship, may I, or did you want to?
Oh, I love it.
The spaceship right now is going to be integration of a chiller system on the residential side. So what that means is that they're going to do their heat transfer with water versus refrigerant. It's way more efficient. And it's going to be done with panels actually on the when your home is constructed. You're going to have panels that actually carry liquid. All your drywall will be able to heat up or cool down. And so it's going to be a convection heat, not a heat driven via fans. And so that's where it's going.
Can you speak to this system, Dave?
Whew, no, are we going there? We're gonna have
Let's do it.
Heats up and cools
Well,
down.
man, just in regards to like the advancement, what we can expect in the advancement of technology, or just even what we have right now. That, like you're talking about before, that 12 SEER system was the Cadillac. What's the Cadillac now?
Yeah, I would say that some of the Cadillac would be in the 1820 SEER, but my friend here, Ryan, hit on a good point. You know, with this variable speed technology, two-stage, that's really where it's at. That's the Cadillacs have the two-stage technology, and that's what I would say was your space technology that you were referencing.
Mm-hmm. Nice.
I think on some of these systems that are actually getting smarter, they're adaptive. So when you have some of these thermostats, they can actually kind of forecast what you want in that house. You know, the times that you want it a little bit cooler or a little bit warmer, and they can kind of figure out your patterns, like when you're home, when you're not home, and they can adapt to it.
Dial themselves in.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I think the old adage of set it and forget it is kind of gone to the wayside. It's more like set it and remember it.
Yeah.
It depends. I think for me, it depends a lot on if the person's going to be home all the time. You know, maybe it's if you have people in the home all the time, 24 hours a day. But most of us don't. Most of us have people that are leaving for work and school at different times, and that's when the smart technology starts to take over.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It was interesting with when COVID was here and everyone was staying home. People were buying the most elaborate home comfort systems because they were spending so much. Like they were coming with humidifiers and air purification and filtration and variable speed. And now that people are out of their house again, we're seeing that part of the market also shrivel up a little bit to where folks are getting a little more conservative and wanting just to get a heating and cooling system, not necessarily a comfort system. So it's very interesting.
Yeah. Well, why don't we talk a little bit about that, Ryan? With you know, a lot of people are concerned about the energy consumption, but as a comfort advisor, you go in there and you design a system for the homeowner's comfort. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Absolutely. The number one thing I could possibly do to help you out with your home is if I can actually help you get a smaller air conditioner. And so that's going to be if I can recommend some added insulation or maybe some window coverings or there's all kinds of ways of helping with that. And then if we can help you get a smaller air conditioner, also get you into variable speed or two-stage technology, now you're going to decrease your power bill by 50%, would be pretty solid if you're going to be at an 18 or 20 SEER system. And an AeroSeal. I didn't even mention that. And
what is AeroSeal?
Well, slow me down. Sorry. AeroSeal is like fix-a-flat for your ductwork.
Okay.
In Tucson, the average ductwork system is going to be about 18 to 22% leaky. And if you have a previous evaporative cooler system on your house, you could be 35 to 40% leaky. So by really by sealing up all those leaks, you're going to make all those gains. Again, driving down the size of your air conditioning system, increasing level of comfort, drive down your power bill. But that sort of goes back to your design. And so one of the two most important days of the life of your air conditioning system is the day it's designed and the day it's installed. So
interesting. And another question, it kind of in the vein of comfort, but more the comfortable to your pocketbook when you want to sell your house. I know we're having a solar system installed in our house right now. I'm sorry we didn't have you guys do it. We should have had you guys do it. But the air conditioning system, let's say particularly, let's say I want to upgrade to a variable speed, assuming that we don't already have a variable speed at our house. What type of increase to the property value am I looking at in getting a more upgraded system, air conditioning system, in comparison to this 12 SEER system that used to be the Cadillac back in late 80s, early 90s, but now is my grandma's Cadillac that she hasn't worked on for the past 20 years.
Well, the real estate industry is sort of interesting to where that's going to depend on the quality of your realtor. Some realtors open doors and some realtors actually sell your house and they educate the prospective buyers on the upgrades that you've made. And so don't let your realtors talk you into that no one's going to care. Talk them into making sure that you present my brand new 25, whatever you spent on your air conditioning system as part of the house and make sure they know what they're getting. So it's I would say vet your realtor and make sure that they are doing a good job for you.
Well, cool.
Yeah.
Well, we'll hear about all that and more. I know you guys at home are waiting for bated breath for more HVAC talk, but this is The Guys Next Door, brought to you by Picture Rocks Cooling, Heating, and Plumbing. We have David Deal with Baker Distributor here in studio, as well as the Comfort Advisor with Picturox Clean Heating and Plumbing, and Ryan Shirley. You guys sit right there, keep your noses clean. If you got to go potty, do it real quick and come on back. This is the Guys Next Door, brought to you by Picturox Clean Heating and Plumbing. I am Pastor John McClain, here with the coolest guy in Tucson, Mr. Ron Arenas.
And welcome back. This is the Guys Next Door. I'm Ron Arenas with Pastor John McClain,
Yeah,
talking with Ryan Shirley and David Deal.
absolutely.
Yeah.
And the intro, I always play the drums, but I'm pretty sure I'm off beat. But I got.
I was watching you play those.
Yeah,
Play the drums that weren't there.
yeah, absolutely.
But that's okay if you have drums in your head.
Yeah,
then
they're
that's
just
fine.
schizophrenic drums. Don't worry about that.
We'll roll with that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, David, as a wholesaler, you're invested in your contractors to provide good service and install with the equipment that you sell them. Can you tell us a little bit about the ongoing education and training that the manufacturers provide to the contractors?
You know, right now, what the hot button is that we're getting a new refrigerant come 2025.
Okay.
It's effectively known as the A2L refrigerants.
Yeah.
So we've had a couple classes already this year on the transition to the way from 410A to the R454B.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And you know the question I want to ask, kind of in the same vein as that last question, what is the difference and why the change?
You know, the real difference is it's supposed to be more environmentally friendly.
Okay.
You know, I think that the phrase is the carbon footprint.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
the new A2L refrigerants is supposed to have less carbon footprint on there, and that's how we're all judged anymore. Our cars, that's why when
Right.
electric cars, these air conditioners are trying to have a less carbon footprint. What is it that they talk about? The
ozone.
the ozone.
Yeah,
exactly.
deleting the ozone layer.
Exactly.
Mhm.
Yeah.
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 So it's just going to get a little bit worse as the years go on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah.
Interesting.
A couple things that I think they've also told us from an AC guy perspective is I think it's supposed to be a little bit lower pressures, and so possibly we'll have a little bit less refrigerant leaks.
Mm.
You know, because
Okay.
it's going to be a lower pressure system.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah,
So-
I do use that as some of these failures that we've had as the higher pressures that we've had to deal with over the
Yeah.
last 10 years.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think anybody really were up for that or wasn't prepared for what that was going to do long term to the air conditioner. So
Yeah, I think it's the long
That's a
term
good sign.
thing. Yeah, it is. It is.
Yeah.
I'd be happy. I mean, it's good for the distributors and the manufacturers if they don't have the warranty issues, but it's also good for the homeowners because when does your AC go out? It goes out on the hottest day of the year.
every time.
Yeah,
Every time.
And
it does.
then even if it's a warranty issue, you're still probably gonna have to wait a day or two at least to get that rectified. So
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah, my extensive research that I did in reading this piece of paper right here, I also saw that there always seems to be more government regulations in the HVAC industry. You know, how does that affect the manufacturers and the wholesalers?
That's a good question, Ron. What do you think?
Me personally, I would like the government to be less in our lives.
Yeah, sure. Too.
Let us just live our lives. But, they're not going to do that. I think with the regulations, like you said, they're trying to get more eco-friendly.
Mm.
And that's one of the big things. And it's probably sparking some innovation because we are getting more energy efficient. And being more energy efficient can also lead to better comfort on these AC systems.
Mm-hmm.
Something in my training that keeps coming up is the manual J, which is your heating and cooling sizing calculation for your house.
Mm-hmm.
What I sort of envision is that we're gonna have to submit a manual J and probably get a permit with pretty much every job, and then
Yeah.
eventually it's gonna be enforced. And so that's what we're sort of
Yeah.
already preparing for. Is I would say 95 to 96% of all of our jobs have a manual J and a permit as well, just
Mhm.
because we're pretty much always want to be in front of regulation. So
Right.
Mm.
And the manual J is so that you size that system right.
yeah, 50% of systems across the country are actually sized improperly. Our last two installs, I had to increase the size of one air conditioning system for a family, and I had to decrease the size of another air conditioning system for another family.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And another question comes to mind, this kind of to the roundtable here. What are some of the common regulations that we've seen within the HVAC system of recent times?
Well, we've changed refrigerants a couple times.
Okay.
Because of those regulations.
Yeah.
And anytime that that's a major thing. That'd be like changing the fuel in your automobile. You have to change the way the whole unit works. It's still the concepts there of the unit still working the same way, but there's different pressures and there's different oils and just different things that you have to account for.
Interesting.
Well, also with the SEER, we've gone from SEER 1 to SEER 2 just this year, and it's a more stringent measurement of your efficiency of the system. But what's interesting, SEER 1 did not include ductwork. So they were allowed to put units in the marketplace that were really never tested to actually blow air through ducts. So now, just this year, all the manufacturers actually have to they're regulated to make sure that all their systems have blowers that are strong enough to overcome a 0.5-inch water column. But that's neither here nor there. But it's better for the consumer because now everyone gets a good blower in their unit, period. So
Yeah.
Yeah, and I want to extend that, kind of like broaden the question to you, David. What are some of the challenges that you've seen from your end of things within the regulation? Like just in kind of moving forward or just adjusting to that last regulation and moving on to the next.
You know, I was going to comment before that just the change in regulations helps keep the contractor up to speed and educated on the stuff that they're at hand. You know, I think a lot of times people get into a comfort zone and, just do the same old thing. And by having a regulation change, helps us all sharpen our pencils and go out there and approach a job, more directly than we had in the past.
Interesting. So yeah, a little, both sides of the coin there. There's the good and the bad. Definitely regulation can sometimes slow things down, but sometimes you got to slow down to kind of sharpen the mind. So, that's cool.
And most of the manufacturers and distributors do offer classes to the contractors both in the spring and the fall when we're a little bit not as busy. And as a contractor, you definitely want to take advantage of that because you get to see all the new regulations and all the new innovations, but you also need to stay sharp.
Well, what's interesting about training is we'll go in a room of 30 seats, and Picture Rocks will have half the seats, and they're doing one training this year. So there's 600 contractors and 30 seats for that year's training, and we took half of them. And so people don't like to train. Like, we're constantly training because all this new stuff is constantly coming out. We're always, and cool thing is at Picture Rocks, we train on all of our own stuff. So we don't train on our customers' equipment. We train on our own equipment. So if we're going to break something, we're going to break Ron's stuff.
And he loves that. Actually, he has the best running system in town.
Well, he gets a new one every year.
So I guess, as the comfort advisor, Ryan, with Picture Rocks Cooling, Heating, and Plumbing, when someone needs to replace their HVAC system, why should they pick, Picture Rocks Cooling, Heating, and Plumbing? Because I talk about it regularly. You guys' industry seems like one of the most concentrated industries in the city, right after real estate agents. So, why you guys?
So the homeowner doesn't realize how complicated these units are. You're buying a heating system, a cooling system, a ventilation system, a filtration system as well. You have electrical connections, you have gas connections, you have water connections, you have high voltage, you have low voltage. No other contractor has to encounter everything that I've just spoke about. Plus, everything we do is retrofitted. So your returns are always undersized. So we have to reframe those. We have to rebuild this. So our average job takes 2 or 3 days because we have to rebuild so much stuff. So we are so beyond air conditioning. We are pretty much rebuilding a little part of your home.
Yeah.
That's crazy. That's wild. I never realized so much went into it, but definitely I learned more and more every single time we talk to you.
And David, on the manufacturing side, we were talking earlier off air about install is one of the most important things. Just tell us from your perspective about that, because pretty much all the air conditioners are built the same. All the different manufacturers, they pretty much have a lot of the same components. They have GE motors or Mars components or different Copeland compressors. And when you get them, you pretty much have the same stock as the other distributors, but you're sending them out, you're selling them to contractors. And I think it's mostly what the contractor does with it afterwards that's going to depend on that long life. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, I absolutely agree with that. Like you said, I've been in this industry for a long time, just on the other side, 35 years. And I've had every single family member ask me at least one time, what kind of air conditioner should I buy? And I tell them, just like you're saying right there, Ron, is that all the air conditioners are basically the same. It's kind of, it's who installs it and how you maintain it.
Yeah.
So, you'd be
Interesting.
surprised. Some people just don't change their filter. I know you're laughing at that, but
Yeah. Well,
Ron,
he reminds me weekly usually, but at least once a
Right.
month that I need to change my filter once a month. But as a wholesaler, what would you suggest to the listening audience or just a general member of the public? How do they distinguish between one contractor versus the other?
I just have to ask the contractor some of those hard questions. If it was me, I would want to know what kind of system the contractor that is installing, proposing a system to me, what do they have? What do they have at their place? Can they give me some insight to what they've experienced in their own unit, in their own house?
Yeah.
I think that would be a good way to get a barometer on what they're going to try to put in my house.
Yeah, that's true. My wife gets a little bit mad at me because I'm always putting different thermostats in my house because I want to see how the different one works, or just different settings. And
Ron, that's funny. I've probably had every thermostat also. I'm actually stuck on one right now because
Nice.
it was a OEM thermostat that came with the system itself.
Okay.
And it reminds me to change my filter.
oh yeah, as a filter reminder. Yep.
Yes, I love that. I always think, already?
Do you have a favorite thermostat, Ron?
No, not necessarily.
Not yet.
Not
right now.
yet,
You're
yeah.
still trying them out.
Yeah, probably
Yeah.
about one a year.
Still dating thermostats.
Yeah, we were still dating. Yeah. Not committed yet.
For sure.
You must have a thermostat you don't like.
Yeah, I don't really like the Nest thermostat,
I was waiting for that. A lot of
Nice.
people.
but my son loves it.
Your son loves
Yeah,
it.
I took it off my wall, gave it to him, and he loves it.
I thought I was going to put a Nest thermostat on my house, and I just haven't got there yet. I hear there's a lot of advertisement about
Yeah.
there, but I think when
Yeah.
it comes down to it, they're just not as cool as other thermostats that are more tried and true.
Yeah,
Well, we
that's
have
true.
the Nest at our house, and it's a little frustrating because we want to use all the cool smart features, but we just haven't been able to get into the system, so we just use it just like a regular old thermostat. Yeah.
Yep. Well, this is the guys next door. Thank you, David, for coming
Yeah.
on. Thank you, Ryan, for coming on.
Mhm.
And
Yeah. And thank me for being here. yeah. I definitely want to talk about Veteran Rescue Mission and the work that we do. I want to invite everybody primarily to go to veteranrescuemission.org. Not only does this show help contribute to the work that we do, but we locate homeless veterans, get them to our shelter, and we get them connected with housing. So if you're a veteran out there that needs assistance, whether it's with housing or just getting connected with benefits in general, you need a battle buddy to go to the VA with you because it's annoying, or you need somebody that just kind of walk you through the process, hit us up, veteranrescuemission.org. This is The Guy Next Door, brought to you by Picture Rocks Cooling, Heating, and Plumbing. I'm Pastor John McClain of that Veteran Rescue Mission, here with the coolest guy in Tucson, Mr. Ron Arenas, and he's my buddy. You should hit them up too. Go to picturerockscooling.com.